Welcome back. You're watching Friday Briefing here on KTN News, and it's now time for us to speak to our guest anchor. He's none other than Steve Mbogo, who is also the Starehe Constituency parliamentary nominee on an ODM ticket, and he's here to tell us what exactly his distinctive advantage could be against his competitors. Thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to Friday Briefing.
Thank you, Joy.
All right. A lot has been said about you. When anyone reads your profile, it's about 25 pages. But maybe briefly tell, for those people who don't know who you are, where were you born, where did you grow up, who is Steve Mbogo?
Thank you very much, Joy. Basically, Steve Mbogo is a businessman, and I'm also a leader. Currently, I'm the patron of all universities in Kenya. The organization is called KUSO, Kenya University Students Organization, an organization that is entitled to promote, protect, and enrich the lives of university and college students. Steve Mbogo came from a very humble background, born, brought up in Kitale, in the village, and came to Nairobi during my high school studies, and later on joined campus, and here am I today. A businessman.
Campus, that's where?
Yeah, I went to the University of Cairo.
Of Cairo?
Yeah.
All right. Anything else that happened after university? Did you proceed to do a master's? Did you do a PhD? What happened after that?
Yeah, I did my master's in Australia. And currently I'm also doing my second degree at Daystar University.
Right.
Because I believe information is power. And the only thing you can invest in yourself is education. So I try as much as possible at any time, even if not in classes, but at any time I learn something. Because if you're well equipped with the information, then you're prone to succeed in anything you do.
You mentioned that you come from a humble background.
Yeah.
What memories of this humble background do you have?
Yeah, you know, one of those days when you'll sleep without food, one of those days when, you know, you're locked out of class because your mom can't pay the fees. You know, one of those times when you can't have a TV at home and go watch TV in your neighbor's place. So we've been there, we know how it feels.
Yeah.
But for me, I believe behind any challenge, there's a hidden opportunity behind it.
Right.
It's how you react to an event that matters a lot.
Any good memories from your childhood? Besides the challenges?
Basically, the only thing I'll say is there was genuine love.
Okay.
You know,
all right.
It was real.
Okay, great. Yeah. So anyone who has read your profile, it shows that you were born in 1986, and that makes you 31 years old. And they go on to say that you are one of the country's youngest billionaires. Tell us about that. How did you get there? How did you accumulate this fortune that we are actually hearing about?
Thank you. As I said, I'm a businessman. I started business from the age of 16 years when I was in Form 3. It reached a time my mom could not afford my school fees. So I had to fend and, you know, search for ways of survival here in Nairobi. So I saw an opportunity in scrap business. And what I did is, I'm an extrovert. I associate with anyone, you know. And I had the street kids who were very good friends of mine back there in Eastlands. I used to stay in Bahati.
Yeah.
And, you know, I realized that these young people go around collecting scrap metals and they will carry it on their back for like 10, 20 kilometers all the way to industrial area to sell. So I thought of an opportunity. I saw the opportunity and decided to be the middleman between the street kids and the entrepreneurs, the investors, the ones buying the metals. So I went to industrial area, you know, with all that zeal, zest, and temerity, met up with 2-3 Asian entrepreneurs who are investing in metal business.
You were a teenager at this point.
I was very young. As I said, it's the confidence in you. You know, that it's not the size of the dog that matter, but it's the fight inside the dog that matter.
Right.
That's what I believe. So I managed to convince them that I can provide a capacity over a period of time. And they used to collect the scrap metals every Friday. And I used to make small profit margins. Then from that, I went into commodity trading. I remember I was among the first Kenyans to start going to China to bring in commodity. I did quite a number of commodities. I remember I was the first person to bring in the You remember when the Chinese phones with the television came?
Yeah.
I remember I was the first person to bring them in the market. I was among the first people to bring in motorbikes in Kenyan market.
So how did you do this? Because I'm thinking you were at a very tender age.
Yeah.
People in their teens largely do not have the business mind. How were you able to do this? Where did you get the money to do this? To import phones, you
Yeah.
know, to do import motorcycles. How did you do this?
Yeah, as I said, I started from the scrap business, which I did for about 3 years until when I was out of high school. And I had some savings. Honestly, I'll tell you, when I cleared Form 4, I didn't have a bank account. So I used to store my savings under my mattress. And the shocking thing is, the day I decided to count the money, I had savings of about 1.6 million shillings. You know,
Over a
in
period of
small
3 years.
denominations, over a period of about 2.5 years. And, you know, it was 200s, hundreds. That took me about 4 days to count the money, you know. And then I thought of going a notch higher because I don't limit my dreams. I'm one person who dreams big. I'm one person who believes that I can be who I am, because I believe a human being is a product of his imagination. And whatever you think, you become. And I believe it's also in the spiritual books.
Well, whatever you think you become.
Yeah.
Some people actually think that maybe just like all these other people who acclaim that they are billionaires or millionaires or dollar millionaires, for that matter, have a very an understandable story behind them. And so this has actually hit you as well. I'm sure people have questioned the source of your funds, the source of your billions. And really people don't understand how you were able to accumulate this much just from scrap metal. What would you say to those people who, up until today, are questioning this 31-year-old who claims to be a dollar millionaire, but yet doesn't seem to tell us what exactly the source of his money is?
Yeah, I'll tell you, Joy, that is one of the challenges we have in this, I'll talk of the Kenyan community.
Yeah.
Although I've seen it also in different countries, that when a child of a pauper or a child of a poor person makes it in life, then people don't appreciate it. We have a culture in our minds that it's only the children of rich people who are prone to be successful. It's only maybe children from a certain community or brought up in a certain way that can make it. But I want to tell Kenyans that we all have equal opportunities. We all breathe the same air. What is the difference between us and those who've made it in life is the school of thought. As Steve Mbogo, I try to borrow a leaf from any successful person. I consult a lot. I have traveled all over the world, met up with very many successful people just because I want to learn.
So who are some of these successful people that you've used as a benchmark to where you want to be?
Yeah, the likes of Branson's, I've met him in person also, and quite a number all over the world. You know, people who are so humble, and he taught me a lot that there's no humiliation in humility. You know, life humbles you. It reaches a point in life where you realize that there are much more things which are bigger than you as a person.
Right.
And as Steve Mbogo, I wouldn't say as per what purport. To me, it's not about the money. In life, I never work to make money. I work to attain success. Whether I make profit, I make loss, as long as I'm happy that I did it, then I'm good to go.
So
and don't forget that even money is a byproduct of success. So at any time you're successful, of course the money will come.
The money will automatically come.
Of course, it's one of the byproducts.
All right. Would you say you've had it smooth through accumulating this so-called fortune? Would you actually say it has all been rosy? There's not been, challenges for you, or what would you say?
I'll tell you, I give respect to any person who's made it because it's never easy. You go through so many challenges.
Yeah.
There's so many broken bottles you have to, walk on top of them. There's so many challenges and temptations. And also there's so much negative energy that surrounds you. As I said, like for the Kenyan society, you're perceived like if you're from a poor family or poor background, if you make it, then the people try to criticize or maybe hate at the end of the day. But what I believe is, I personally believe in staying focused because I believe we all have primary roles in life. I know my role in life. As Steve Mbogo, I know I was born to serve the people, and nothing can ever stop me from that.
Let's talk about your ambitions, because actually before we even get there, when I actually mentioned that you were going to be our guest anchor with all the excitement, somebody said, oh, I think he's a socialite. Have you heard those comments hitting at you once in a while? And what reaction do you usually have when people actually say Steve is a socialite? What is he even doing in politics?
Yeah, in life, Joy, you'll never control people's comments or what they think about you. If me dressing up means I'm a socialite, if me maybe having fun at times with my friends means I'm a socialite, that's perception.
Yeah.
And a perception, basically, it's a myth.
So are you a socialite, Steve?
Of course, I'm not. I'm a businessman and I'm a leader. But it depends what people define a socialite as. You see?
Right.
So I think maybe for them, maybe the way people live, the way people, some will say is flamboyant, some will say, but it's not that case.
Right.
I'm a very humble person. I'm easy. I believe no one has seen me in the clubs. I don't club, I don't drink, I'm never out there.
But you
if
own
I'm
the
not
clubs.
with my family, yeah, but personally I don't go. Because at the end of the day, it's what makes me happy. I don't live for people, not to impress people, but primary role, it's me, my family, my kids, and the society at large.
All right. At least now our viewers are quite convinced. Now let's move to your political ambition. You are vying for the Starehe parliamentary seat on an ODM ticket. First of all, why did you even decide to do this? How did you get the inspiration to vie for a political position, considering your background?
Thank you very much, Joy. And I'm glad to have this opportunity, because I'll tell you what really moved me into active politics is because of the challenges the Kenyan people are going through. Now, it reached a point where I sat down and realized in every group of people I meet, 90% of them will speak about the problems they're undergoing in the country. And I believe there are solutions we can't create if we don't do active participation. Now, all my friends who are complaining, none of them was ready to take up the fight and do what it's supposed to be done.
Yeah.
So as Steve Mbogo, I said, I won't sit and criticize, maybe have self-pity or, hate. What I'll do is I'll get in there, I'll fight and act as an example. And I'm telling you, Joy, I believe that I have all it takes. And I've got passion to bring change in the Kenyan society. Not only Starehe, but we, the people of Starehe, will act as an example.
All right. So tell me, usually when people are aspiring to be leaders, they have certain goals that they want to achieve. Maybe they are dissatisfied with the current leadership, and so that precipitates their decision, or that informs their decision to vie for certain positions. What is it for you? What is it in Starehe that you're dissatisfied about?
Now, I'll tell you, Starehe constituency basically is a business-oriented constituency. Now, when you look at Starehe constituency, it harbors most of the key pillars of the business community of Kenya. Starehe hosts industrial area.
Yeah.
Starehe hosts the entire market, talk of Mudhurwa market, talk of Marikiti Wakulima market, talk of the entire CBD.
Yeah.
We even host the parliament. Parliament is in Starehe. The central bank is in Starehe. KRA is in Starehe. Now that tells you it needs a leader who understands two things. One, a leader who understands business skills. Because I believe you cannot empower business people, you can't lift them up if you personally don't have the capacity or the know-how of business. And two, it needs someone who understands leadership skills. Personally, I've told you currently, for the last 3 years, I'm the patron of Kenya University Students Organizations. I have fought for the students of this country for the last 3 years, and we've served them right. And when we talk of leadership, I believe I have all the qualities. And I'm also ready to learn because, no one has a monopoly of wisdom. And we, the people of Starehe, are ready for change.
All right. You're saying, you've given an example of the universities and you said you served them right. Would you say you've served them right with the ongoing periodic strikes that we have time and time again from some of the universities?
You'll agree with me, Joy. That is one of the things we really tackled. I believe you can remember 5 years back, universities used to close down to close to a year. And we are the people who fought and said, even if a university strikes, it shouldn't be closed down more than a month. Because if a parent pays school fees, we know what parents go through to pay the fees. You know, they sell the land, they take loans, they borrow from these chamas and organizations. And when that child is subjected to stay home for a full year, it means he has to repeat that year and the parent has to pay again. So we tried, and we did this through consensus. You know, we met with the administration, we went through parliamentary committee, the educational parliamentary committee, and in some scenarios we even went to court. So,
Right.
so it's a matter of serving them right, because I know in life history judges you harshly. If you're given an opportunity to serve or fight for people and you don't do that, then it's going to come up to you.
All right. So say you're elected member of parliament for Starehe. What are you going to do?
I'll put it up in 3 segments, and you know, this is the primary roles of a member of parliament. Number 1 is representation. As Steve Mbogo, I promise to represent the people of Starehe well, both in parliament and in the business community. As I said, Starehe is a business-oriented constituency. We have the hawkers, we have the SMEs, the small-scale traders. These are people who need representation fully, both in Parliament and also in the business society. In Parliament, as Steve Mbogo, I promise to legislate laws and fight and bring up bills that will ensure the people of Starehe constituency, and not only Starehe constituency, but we will fight for all small-scale traders, all traders, and ensure that we create laws that will help them grow. You'll agree with me that look at the lives of many small-scale traders. We find that there is no growth in their businesses, simply because 1, they lack direction, and 2, they lack a sense of belonging. As Steve Mbogo, through representation, I promise and I guarantee we're going to create proper direction for the business societies and also represent fully the residential areas. Take, for example, Mukuru is in Starehe. We have Landmawe Ward and South B. We have Pangani. We have Ziwani. Those are basically residential, and some part of Ngara. So I promise as the incoming MP of Starehe to fully represent these people, both in the August House and in the business community.
Right.
Number 2, corrective legislation. Under my government, under my administration. Yeah, of course,
I was about to ask you,
it's a
which
constituency
government of
government.
yours?
It's a constituency government,
Okay,
you know.
go on.
I promise to create proper and structural leadership through 1, ensuring we get the right people to work in all these offices. 2, as Steve Mbogo, I promise to devolve CDF on ward levels. Why? We find that, for example, in Starehe constituency now, the CDF is positioned in 1 ward.
Right.
Someone living in South B finds it difficult to go all the way to Karioko to get a bursary slip. And by the time he goes there, he's told maybe the bursary slips are over or they're not there. And compare the distance, and the living conditions are hard. You'll agree with me that Kenyans are suffering, and the poverty level is going up every day. Now, the easiest way you can serve your people is bringing down the projects closer to them. How do we do that? If I bring the CDF office closer to the people, then it means they have access to the office, and we are able to understand their problems in prompt time.
All right. Okay, you have stiff competition, but I guess we will come to that. So usually on Friday briefing, or it could be something we do often, we try to gauge the general knowledge of our guests. And we'd like to gauge yours too, find out your knowledge in regard to sports, in regard to music, maybe. If you love music, do you love music? And of course, in politics. So we're going to start with sports. And we're going to ask you to take a look at the screen and take a look at the pictures that you see on there and tell us who these 3 people are, starting from the first one.
Right at the front, I can see that's Cristiano Ronaldo. I can see Victor Wanyama. And then I can see They call him the first finest footballer, Kadenge, Joe Kadenge.
Great. All right. Well, totally aced that one. So let's move on to music, or is it politics? Yes. Let's go to politics. Let's see. Can you tell us who these people are?
Uh-huh. Right. The first one is, we call him CMG.
Okay.
Or in another way, is called Awing Skodek.
Yes.
And then I can see Tom Mboya and Martin Luther King.
Great. Well, my director is telling me he didn't think you were going to ace the first one.
Who, CMG?
Yes.
CMG was, I loved one thing about him. He was one of the freedom fighters. And I remember he was once the member of parliament of Jem constituency. And he was also a Minister of Foreign Affairs, I remember, in 1963.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right. So people who are saying you are a socialite are making up all this stuff. All right. And by the way, a lot of people are trying to comprehend how you are able to make 1.6 million while you are still a teenager. So maybe you'll have some closing remarks for them. Are we going to have the ones for music? All right, let's have a look at those. In the music category, maybe you want to tell us who these people are.
I can see the beautiful lady Masi Masika. Then second is Kanyi or Kigeugeu. And then I can see Kenny Rogers.
Okay. And speaking of Kigeugeu, you mean Jaguar, right?
Yeah.
All right. He's one of your competitors in this position.
Yeah.
What age do you think you have over him?
Age,
What distinctive advantage do you have over him?
honestly, I'll tell you, when you talk of matters of leadership, I'll be very honest with you, Joy. In life, you never gamble leadership. When you gamble your leader or leadership, you're gambling your life for a period of 5 years. I appreciate what he does as a musician, but in terms of leadership, I'm sorry, he has nothing to offer for the people of Starehe. Political seats are not seats where people push you and front you and tell you go and vie. It needs that passion. It needs that zest, that temerity. It's from inbound where you decide, I want to fight for my people. I want to serve my people. You don't be a project where you're fronted by people and you expect to do right to the people. No. And we, the people of Starehe, are not ready for that.
So you think he doesn't have the zest to be a leader?
Of course. Those are two different things.
What about
and
Boniface
I'll tell you, there's a very big difference between a voter and a fan. And at times people are lied to when you get so many likes from your fans, and you forget that there's a difference between a fan and a voter. And we, the people of Starehe, this time round, it's about someone who has passion, someone who's willing to do it, and it's none other than Steve Mbogo.
Do you think you have the votes?
Of course, we've got the numbers.
So you also have another competitor who is Boniface Mwangi. Very briefly, if you can, tell us, what age do you have over him?
Boniface Mwangi as well, he's an activist. Activists in most cases are considered as hecklers, They're not like him, he's not solution-oriented. I've never seen anything he's heckled about and brought a solution towards it. It's not about you being seen in TV carrying placards. It is how you solve a problem and bring it back to benefit the common Wanjiko.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of common Wanjiko, would like to test your skills in terms of reading news. You never know. If you decide that this political thing is not going to work, and in the event that you do not win this election, maybe you could consider another career. So look into that camera over there. Can you read that?
Yeah.
All right, so this is where you introduce yourself, just like I did when I was beginning the bulletin, and take it away. Can you see that far?
Yeah, I think my eyesight is okay.
All right. Should you not be able to see that far, here you go. I think there's a bit of backup for you that you can look for. I think that's good enough.
Yeah.
All right, let's take it
Yeah,
away.
I can see it.
So go ahead.
Thank you very much. This is Steve Mbogo. Welcome to KTN News briefing, Friday briefing. Let's go to that tragic news from Komarok Estate in Nairobi, where a 5-year-old child died after a fire broke out at Infield Academy. The fire broke out when the children had left their morning preps. Caroline B has more details.
The fire, which consumed the upper floors of the 4-story school building, broke out at around 5:20 a.m. this morning. The pupils had left the dormitory for their early morning studies, leaving the young girl behind, still asleep. The mother of the victim, who's a matron at the school, could not come to terms with the loss as she had rushed to save other children. And in the event, her daughter succumbed to the deadly fire.
So mama alikuwa anawashughulikia watoto wengine. So by the time amewashughulikia kwenda juu ndio amerealize mtoto alikuwa amebaki ndani. Bahati mbaya akaweza kupumzika, ameweza kufa.
We woke up as residents because the school is inside the estate, actually inside the middle of the houses. When we came, we managed to rescue the children because the school is a boarding school. We have rescued some children, but apparently as we were rescuing, we forgot one child who is 5 years for the matron.
Shukuru watu wa county, this time around wamejaribu kuja haraka haraka. Kama mbeleni hapo inakuanga after 2 hours wanafika. Ya mwisho nitaomba governor. Next time kila sub county ikuwe na fire station yake.
The fire brigade arrived 30 minutes later to contain the fire. The real cause remains unknown, but witnesses and area residents believe the deadly blaze may have been caused by an electric fault after one of the children left a heater on. The academy admits children from baby class, but pupils begin boarding once in class 5. The school's administration could not be reached for comment. At the moment, the KTN News team was on the ground early morning. Investigations to establish the cause of the fire are underway. Caroline B, KTN News.
All right, and that story is what's going to lead us into the business news. So this is the point where you